Nigeria Info. It's 99.3 Nigeria Info. We promised you we'll be back after the break, and we are back, and we'll be talking to you for the next hour. We also have guests joining us on this conversation. We'll be looking at pension laws for ex-governors, ex-deputy governors, ex-state house assembly speakers and deputy speakers. And these laws have been introduced in many of these states. We'll be telling you which states already have these laws and why they might need to change them. If you think that they should, for the next 1 hour, you can reach us on Facebook, we're live. Also, YouTube, we're live. You can watch us anywhere you are. You can also reach us on WhatsApp, 08095 975805, 08095 975805. You're welcome to the show. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
And I am Sheriff Quadry. It's good to know that you're there, and thank you for joining us. Please, as we go along on the show this morning, drop your comments and your thoughts on our socials. We appreciate it as we continue with the show. Our WhatsApp portal is very, very active. The Instagram, the Facebook, the Twitter, the YouTube, everything is available for you to be a part of this conversation this morning.
Okay, Zamfara State has been in the headlines for the past 2 days. In fact, I've also given them some applause on the show over the attempt to stop the entitlement payments to ex-governors, their deputies, and other public officers in the state. The Zamfara State House of Assembly leader Farouk Musa Dosara had presented a bill repealing entitlement payment to the all of them, ex-governors, ex-deputies, ex-public officials in the states at a sitting of the House on Tuesday. Zamfara Assembly said there is a need to repeal the law which was enacted during Governor Yari's administration, which, I quote, mandated the payment of jumbo salaries and entitlements to former political office holders in the state. According to the Zamfara State House of Assembly leader Farouk Dosara, different categories of payment of past leaders were collecting about 700 million naira annually, and that is way above what the state can presently afford. So they're asking that the state needs to stop this payment. Recall that a month and a half, that's on the 17th of October precisely, the immediate past governor of Zamfara, Abdulaziz Yari, addressed a letter. It was dated 17th of October. This letter was addressed to the incumbent governor, Bello Muhammad Matawale, reminding, or you can say informing Bello that he, Yari, is entitled to 10 million naira monthly as upkeep allowance, which he has only received twice since, I quote, the expiration of my tenure on the 29th of May 2019. He said, I quote again, I was only paid the upkeep allowance twice, that is for the month of June and July, while my pension for the month of June has not been paid. The letter was entitled Grant of Pension and Other Allowances for Former Governor, Former Deputy Governor, Former Speaker and Former Deputy Speaker of Zamfara State, and Yari held that his demand was in line with the provision of the law. Of course it was, because this was passed into law March 23rd, 2019, just about 2 months before he left office. Now, right. A report done by The Punch in December 2016 showed that 21 out of retired governors and deputies were entitled to salaries in the Senate. They are in the Senate or in the federal cabinet. They were Senate President Bukola Saraki, Minority Leader then Akpabio, Danjuma Goje, Rabi Kwakwanso, Babatunde Fashola, Rotimi Amechi, Kabiru Gaya, Aliyu Wamako. This report was done in 2016. In 2014, former President Goodluck Jonathan signed into law a new Pension Reform Act 2014, which repealed the Pension Reform Act of 2004. The key objectives of the reform were to ensure contributors receive their benefits as and when due, Did you hear that? The must
Right.
receive. And so when Governor Yari was complaining that he hadn't received his money, it was actually because there's a law.
Right.
That
That's that you must pay him.
You must
As
pay
a when
him.
due.
And it's a law. It's a law. The key objectives of that reform, the Pension Reform Act, were to ensure contributors receive their benefits as and when due, and to assist improvident individuals to save in order to cater for their livelihood during old age. But workers also are entitled to the pensions being paid. The question is, have Nigerian workers been getting the pensions, which is, when you compare with what the governors are getting, pretty low. We hope to be joined in a moment by Debo Adeniro from the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, CACOL, and also Eze Oyekpere, ED, is an Executive Director, Center for Social Justice.
We've been trying to reach out to the two gentlemen all morning, but we can't seem to get a hold of them. As soon as we can, absolutely, we will be able to speak with them on the program this morning. Again, you're very welcome. Let's have you know that in Jigawa, Lagos, Okun, Kaduna, Niger, Delta, Zamfara, Oshun are just a few of the states who have this particular law in their state. Let me just confirm if we have Eze Onyekpere on the line. Mr. Eze, good morning to you. We don't have Eze on the line. I will just go through some of the states that have these laws passed in their states. Oshun, Rivers, Kano, Imo, Kebbi, Sokoto, Ekiti, Kogi, Bayelsa, Nasarawa, Oyo, Katsina, Akwa Ibom, Edo, Ondo, Benue, Kwara, Plateau, Cross River, Anambra, Enugu, Abia, Ebonyi, Taraba, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Yobe, Adamawa, and the FCT. All of these states, all of them, goodness me, they have this pension law in operation in their state. And what the state governors usually do is, when they're leaving office, they ensure that this law is passed so that they continue to take from the state's purse to whenever and wherever. Governor Matawale of Zamfara said no to this. He said no to extortion. He said these monies will be used for some other good means and for some other laudable projects. For instance, according to Matawale, it'll be used to fund education, it'll be used to fund health, it'll be used for total development of the state. Now, these amounts, usually more often than not, gets to about 700 million naira. And that's just for Zamfara. Imagine what that amount will be like in Lagos, for instance. Imagine what that amount will be like in Rivers, for instance. Just try and imagine. I'm sure those states will amount to more than 700 million naira in a year, because these governors get to have a choice property in Abuja or Lagos of their own. They get to decide the kind of house that they want. They get to, the state buys 4 cars for them, fund the car, pay the salaries of their workers, the state's governors, ex-governors, I should say, and ex-deputy governors, not forgetting ex-speaker of the various houses of assembly. The states continue to pay them some amount of money monthly. That's right, amount of money monthly. The state continues to do that. The state also have medical insurance for them and their family. There you go. This amounts to millions and millions and millions of naira. I should also let you know that these states that are channeling monies for ex-governors, ex-deputy governors, and ex-speakers of these houses of assembly, most of them, let me start with Jigawa, for instance. Jigawa State remits pension contributions to selected pension fund administrators, but implementing a contributory defined benefit scheme. Now, when you talk about accrued rights, they don't have. When you talk of group life insurance for workers in the state, there is nothing like that. That's for Jigawa. In Lagos, there is regular and up-to-date remittance of pension contributions for the state workers. As a matter of fact, only recently, even the state has paid, pensions for, has remitted pension payment for civil servants, over 400 civil servants in the state, and a whole lot more like that. At the moment, we have Mr. Debo Adewuni from the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, CACO, the Executive Director of CACO, is joining us on the line. Mr. Debo, good morning to you.
Good morning, my brother.
It's good to have you here.
It's my pleasure.
We also have Executive Director, Center for Justice, is joining us from Abuja, Eze Onyekpere. Mr. Eze, good morning to you.
My pleasure being here.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. You must have been following the story from Zamfara State, and one of the comments we got is this is just one out of several other states. If you take a look at the other states who have a breakdown of these pension laws, and some also have allowances, upkeep. That's separate from their pension.
Right.
Now, the pension law does not just cover governors and deputy governors. This is also for Nigerian workers. But how do we compare in terms of Nigerian workers who have to work for about 30 to 35 years, and then the pension they collect compared to what the governors collect after serving the state for about 4 to 8 years? We'll start with you, Mr. Eze.
Well, it's a very, very unfortunate development that the power of lawmaking, the legislative power, has been abused in terms of fixing these indecent and immoral pensions and allowances for ex-governors. Well, like it's been pointed out, it is not only in Zamfara, it's all across virtually all the states of the Federation.
About 23 states.
So, yes, so if we have to deal with this matter properly, it has to be a template that goes across board, because it appears what is happening in Zamfara or whichever state is like some political misunderstanding. Because even the governor who is engineering that this money should be totally removed, I'm sure by the time he's going, he may want to bring back the law. So we must find a template that takes it across all the states of the Federation. And even if a pension or gratuity is going to be given to a governor, a former governor, let it be decent. Let it not just be such an immoral figure in a situation of abject poverty where workers have not been paid for months, those on pension and gratuity have not received anything, and then somebody simply wants to pick up this huge pie all to himself.
Mr. Eze, what do you think could have necessitated these particular kind of pension laws exclusively for ex-governors, deputy governors, and ex-speaker of a state? What really would you say is the motive behind it?
There is no way to talk about motive except greed, because it's simply an abuse of legislative powers. Yes, you have powers to make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of a state. And so based on that greedy political motivation, the governors push their state house of assembly to enact such funny laws. And like you did point out, in some states, speakers are joining because they say, okay, if the executive needs to get this, why can't we join as well? And the executive has no qualms in signing up for them. So for me, I see greed as the manifest push that is leading them. I also see indolence on the part of the citizens. Right. Citizens are not protesting. They are not saying anything. They are all dormant. So if you get into a place and there is something that belongs to 10 of us, and then everybody keeps quiet while you pick it up alone, I mean, you're encouraged. You pick it up and go because others are watching you. They don't want to say anything.
Mr. Debo, there is a CCB law, the Code of Conduct Bureau, that watches what public servants do. And there is a part of the Section 4 of the CCB law provides, I'm going to quote it, please listen about 4 sentences. It says, a public officer shall not, after his retirement from public service and while receiving pension from public funds, accept more than one remunerative position as chairman, director, or employee of A company owned or controlled by the government, B, any public authority. It also says that a retired public servant shall not receive any other remuneration from public funds in addition to his pension and the emolument of such one remunerative position. What's your comment on this?
Well, first and foremost, you discover that political offices have been seen, as the only means of getting stupendous wealth, and that once you occupy one political office, you will never be poor again, even if you don't do anything for your life. And that is why they legislate. Sometimes the executive coerce the legislative arm, or maybe lure them into approving such humongous amounts of allowances for themselves and pension for themselves, and they bait even the leadership of the House of Assembly to ensure that they pass the law. That is why they legislate salary for life for themselves and houses in Abuja and any other place of their choices. It started in Lagos during Fashola, when Fashola was about to leave office. And of course, we knew that other states would want to copy.
Right.
Now, it is also because the Nigeria authorities are known for not implementing their own laws. Their salaries that are fixed by revenue mobilization and fiscal whatever has been clearly spelled out. And outside this, they have allowances that will even not make them poor for life, even if they didn't take pension. But then, because of what is it called greed and avarice, and because they are used to life of such opulence, they do not want to experience the life of an ordinary Nigerian anymore.
Right.
That is why they engage in that obedience.
So the picture you have painted, the
Yes.
picture you painted, makes it look like these politicians, these governors, deputy governors and speakers, lawmakers, executive, have... they can do what they would like, whether there is a code of conduct bureau. I read to you section 4 of that bureau of the law, the CCB law, and there's also, like you mentioned, the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission that sets their salaries. But it appears that aside the salaries set by RMAFC, that they also set some monies for themselves. I mean, should a politician, a public servant, be able to decide what allowances he gets?
Well, they should not decide what allowances they get, but because it cut across all political strata. You look at what is happening even in the National Assembly. They legislate, obscene allowances for themselves in a country where more than 70% of the population are roasting in porcelain of poverty.
Right.
I think it's an index of sadism, because when they see so many people that are jobless, so many people that cannot even practice their trade because government is not making things available for them.
Right.
No good education, no good healthcare services. Some of these billions of naira that they are legislating for themselves could have fixed so many things that will benefit the majority of the populace.
Well, I'm not sure they will agree with you. Remember the Senate, there was a big fracas a while ago when they talked about buying vehicles in billions. And when Nigerians raised it up, I remember the lawmakers saying that it was insulting on them for Nigerians to say they shouldn't buy those vehicles. So they seem to believe that they are honorable people and they need to be portrayed and treated as such. Shouldn't they be treated as such? They are honorable. Shouldn't we treat them as such? Like give them, specials?
What they call themselves are public servants. Okay, they are supposed to be servants, not leaders, not robbers. Because what they are doing is they are using the law as instrument of robbery, and they also use the same law to silence people. They have hamstrung the judiciary. Even if the Code of Conduct Bureau goes to the judiciary to ask for penalty for those who have legislated the obscene allowances for themselves, they are not going to get anything out of it. You remember what happened to the former Senate president. We saw the evidence that was presented at the court of law, at the Code of Conduct Tribunal.
Right.
Something happened.
Right.
They intimidated the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, and the hunter became the hunted. And that has always been the pattern. So anytime anybody raises a question, you look at what is happening to Magu himself. Because Magu started all the investigations that led to the naming of the former Senate president. They refused to confirm him, and they created, some offenses around him, so that people will look at him as somebody who is not fit.
Mr. Debo, please hold on a bit. Let's get some calls in so we can expand this conversation. Let's have people jumping on this conversation. If you are just joining us, you're welcome. We have Executive Director, Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, CACO, Debo Adewuni, on the line. We also have Executive Director, Center for Social Justice, Ezeonyekwere, on the line as well. If you'd like to jump on this conversation, here are the numbers that you can call.
Call us on 01-277-0993, 01-277-1993, 01-277-2993, and 01-277-3993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
And we are listening. The states involved who have these laws passed include Bauchi, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Lagos, Sokoto, Gombe, Yobe, Kwara, Abia, Oshu, Edo, Imo, Delta, Kano, Jigawa, Oyo, Niger, Bayelsa, Katsina, Ondo, Borno, and Anambra State.
Let's see what Joseph has got to say. We lost that call.
Let me take some messages from WhatsApp before we take some more calls. This is from Joseph Dream from Unilag, says, so my poverty-stricken state is that's Kwara. It's part of this rascality called pension for ex-leaders. These money-driven mongers still collect salaries in their current positions as political office holders, at the same time receiving pensions from former positions, collecting double salaries.
Let's see who we have on the line. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Joseph Okwabasu from Okata.
Welcome.
Right.
Yes, for me, my sister, I greet everybody in the studio.
Welcome.
And the people on that are holding on the phone.
Thank you.
Now, my major concern in this is I have an issue with that defense you give. If I'm a lawmaker and you gave them spending billions as an act of honorable, now I would have been happy that you're defending us already. Now, if you ask Nigerians to say it the way it is and to react when these things are happening, you that is there also in your studios must say it the way it is.
Right.
It's a part of evil for them to allocate billions when people cannot receive 18,000, and you're referring it as an act of honor on treating them as honorable. Is it what the money they spend that make them honorable, or their performance in the office that makes them honorable? So I have an issue with that. Now another for other states, my sister. The governor told us, which is okay, that they cannot build ordinary Aba Bridge flyover because they must pay salary. And the people said, okay, pay salary if you cannot do the two. Now he came back and told us that he cannot pay salary because they want to build bridge. And that bridge has been hanging. Salary has not been paid. And they are receiving, former governors are receiving such an amount. And you describe it as an act of honorable. I am very, very disappointed.
All right, Joseph.
Now, don't be disappointed. Thank you, Joseph.
We're just saying that's what they said. They are
absolutely.
They said they are honorable,
and they are honorable. So call them honorable. So that's the question. Don't be so disappointed. Okay. Let's ask Mr. Az. I understand that he has to leave us very soon, Mr. What I want to ask you, there's a video that I saw. A former First Lady in the U.S., Michelle Obama, was in an interview with Oprah Winfrey, and she talked about their food, meals, and what they have in the White House. And she explained that many people assume that when you are the president and you're in the White House, everything is paid for with state money. She explained that everything they eat that is outside the budget, whether they have a visitor, if they have a visitor and you pick a snack bar, the president will get the bill at the end of the month and he will pay for it. But that's not what we have in Nigeria. Most of our lawmakers and politicians, they don't pay for food, they don't pay for clothing, for cars, for furniture, for housing. Most of them might not even be spending their salaries while in office, yet they have so much more money waiting for them afterwards. What can the people do in this situation?
Well, what is happening in Nigeria is a total collapse of ethics. if you recall, go to a budget. You even find money for the gas cooker at the State House at the level of the presidency. You find money for feeding. You find all sorts. And whenever these things get into the budget, including the money the legislators want, so it's like it is a law. They feel entitled. There's this sense of entitlement that we must get this thing out of the treasury. And they collect those things and nobody is saying anything. So it starts from the presidency down to the smallest legislator.
Right.
And the challenge we have is that if these people we are simply collecting those ones they legislated and left others, and we are not stealing public funds or mismanaging public funds, it could have even made a little sense. You are providing pension for a man at the rate of 10 million a month, and this is the same person who had already stolen state resources and possibly skimmed off billions from the state. So it's a clear case of the state is like a candle. On the upper part, you light it. At the bottom, you scrap it again and bring out the trade.
I mean, I know you're leaving us very soon, Mr. Eze, but I need to quickly chip this in because it's very valid. And where we're going now is the office of the citizen, because it was said earlier that what are the citizens doing? Is it a case of ignorance? Take, for instance, Borno State. Take, for instance, Kwara State. Take, for instance, Oyo, Niger. These states, they are not remitting pension contribution for the workers of the state. These states have no funding accrued rights at all. These states, and many more of them that have pensions for their former governors, for their former deputy governors, they don't have group life insurance.
They're not even paying pensions.
They're not
of their
paying
citizens.
anything. And these governors, got security votes when they were in power for 8 years. And no, they couldn't even account for those security votes. What is the role of the people in all of this?
That's why I'm saying that we are very docile. We simply sleep over our rights. I had expected the labor union, the NLC, the TUCs in those states to sit down with the governor and say, this is our position. Sit down with the State House of Assembly. And if they refuse, to an extent, civil disobedience, strikes, make the state a bit ungovernable up to a point that everybody comes back to the table and comes back to his senses. Otherwise, if we continue behaving like we want to sound politically correct, nothing is going to happen. In my organization, for instance, every year, once the budget is sent to the National Assembly, we sit down and pull out what we call frivolous, inappropriate, wasteful and unclear expenditure that is in the budget and submit to the National Assembly. We expect them to work on them. For instance, in the 2020 budget currently pending,
right.
You know what we saw? We saw an institute under the Ministry of Agriculture stored the grains research product in a lorry, and it was going to construct ICT centers and the mini stadium in Lagos State. It was going to supply solar energy in Asaba. So in that sense, it's a way of bringing out money from the treasury and letting the money go because citizens are not watching. It's an unfortunate development.
Wow. I mean, you've raised a very crucial point, and it's also important to know that the details of the budget was not released until about yesterday. People were trying to see what the Senate was working on, but the
budget is on the website of the budget office.
Yeah, that's the one the government, the president submitted. The breakdown, yes, of what the president submitted. Well, Mr. Eze needs to leave us now, but we continue this conversation with Mr. Debo Adeniro after the break. Mr. Eze Oyekpere is the Executive Director, Center for Social Justice. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
Mr. Debo Adeniro is still here with us, and he is is from the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership. Mr. Debo, I'd ask you to please hold the line while we go on a very quick break. Comments are already pouring in. We'll be reading some of them. Please keep those comments short. If they are too long, I can't read all of them. Please, I know you're passionate about this, but please summarize your comments so I can read as many as possible. We'll also give you the phone numbers to join us again after the break. Today, we're looking at pension laws for ex-governors, deputy governors, ex-speakers, ex-deputy speakers, all the politicians.
Listen, if you want to know the state of your state,
the state of your state.
Yeah, if you want to know whether your state, is paying ex-governors pension laws, all of those things, just drop your comments on our socials. Right. We'll find out for you.
Well, I'll mention all these states.
But people are still asking. I'm seeing some comments
I'll mention all the states.
They want to know. We'll tell you. We'll tell you because really, it baffles me that citizens are just quite indifferent about all of these things. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back in a moment. I'm Sheriff Quadry.
I'm Wemimo Adewuni. Join us again.
More talk, news news and sports after this.
From your number one talk news and sports station. This is the Morning Crossfire with Wemimo and Sheriff.
The comments are pouring in on WhatsApp. The comments are pouring in on Facebook, Twitter. Oh my goodness. Today we're looking at pension laws, especially how they concern ex-governors, ex-deputy governors, speakers and deputy speakers. And Lagos State also has this law going on. Now, many of these states, unfortunately, have not been paying their pension. They've not been remitting pension contributions for their workers.
Right.
These include Benue. Benue has not been remitting pension contribution for workers. They've not been funding accrued rights, and they don't have group life insurance. These other states also fall in this category. Benue, Quadry.
Wait for your state now.
Just listen. We're calling attendance. Roll call. Benue, Quadry, Plateau, Cross River, Enugu, Abia, Ebonyi, Taraba, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Yobe. Okay, Yobe not applicable. Nothing found for them. Adamawa, FCT. Well, FCT, they have regular and up-to-date remittance of pension contributions for employees. I need to give them shekere. And also there's funding accrued pension right. They also have valid group life insurance.
Right.
For those working in the FCT, they are good to go. Let's look at other states. Jigawa has been remitting pension contributions, great, but no group life insurance.
Right.
Lagos has been remitting up-to-date pension contributions and also funding accrued rights of employees, but no group life insurance. Ogun State stopped remitting pension with huge arrears, and they're yet to commence funding of the accrued right. No group life insurance. Lastly, Kaduna tick, up to date, regular remittance of pension contributions. They have funding accrued pension rights consistently with 5% of total monthly wage bill, and they have valid group life insurance cover. Every other state, Benue, Kwara, Plateau, Cross River, Ebonyi, Abia, Enugu, Taraba, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Adamawa, they scored 0.
Let me break this down further. You should know that the payment of pension to former governors over 4-year cycle were highest in Bauchi, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Lagos. Talking about Lagos, the Lagos State Governor and Deputy Governor Pensions Law of 2007 provides one of the most lucrative pensions in the Federation. The 2007 Lagos Pension Law, approved by Bola Tinubu, gives a former governor life pension at the rate of 30 million naira per annum. As of 2014, ex-governor of Lagos State is entitled to the following. Listen. 6 new cars every 3 years. And a
6
house.
cars?
Yes. New cars, not cars.
So those cars have to be 6 new cars have to be bought every 3 years.
Every 3 years.
Okay.
And a house in Lagos and another in Abuja.
Wow.
Not Lagos or Abuja.
Wow.
Lagos and Abuja. Family, that's spouse and children, both married and unmarried. Even if their children are like 50 years old.
And whether they're married or married.
Whether they're married or married, they're entitled to free medical, which is not capped. It could be any amount. Ex-governor is entitled to a cook, steward, gardener, and other domestic staff who are pensionable as well. There are other benefits. Let me just...
Let me summarize the other benefit very quickly. This is a report done by the Cable.
People are calling.
Annual basic salary, they collect 100% of their annual basic salaries. That's for the incumbent governor. Accommodation, one residential.
This is for Lagos.
This is for Lagos. That's for the governors. One residential house in Lagos, another in the FCT for the former governor. One residential house in Lagos for the deputy. When you're looking at transport, 3 cars, 2 backup cars, 1 pilot car. For the ex-governor every 3 years. 2 cars, 2 backup cars. Why do you need a backup car for a car? 2 cars, 2 backup cars. What's a pilot car? 1 pilot car for the deputy governor to be changed every 3 years. Furniture. Their furniture is rated at 300% of their annual basic salary to be paid every 2 years. House maintenance, 10% of annual basic salary. Domestic staff, cook, steward, gardener, and other domestic staff. There is no limit as to how much they can pay these people. Medicals, there's free medical treatment for ex-governor, deputy, and members of their families, and not just their spouses. If you're a member, your relative extended, you're covered. Security, they're entitled to 2 SSS operatives, 1 female officer, 8 policemen, that's 4 each. 4 for the house, 4 for personal security for the ex-governor, 1 SSS operative, 2 policemen, 1 each for the house, and personal security for the deputy. Their PA is entitled to 25% of their annual basic salary, car maintenance, 30% of annual basic salary, entertainment, 10% of annual basic salary. Go and read up the rest. 6 million naira as severance gratuity. See, let me stop right here. Let's give you the phone number.
So you can get tired.
I can't get tired. If you want to join this conversation, here are the numbers to call.
Call us on 01-277-0993, 01-277-1993, 01-277-2993, and 01-277-3993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
We are listening. Jamil on Twitter is asking, how about those states that are not on your list? Are they different in doing those kind of stuff? Well, the states we have mentioned are the states that have passed that pension law.
So 23 of them.
23 of them. So the others don't have it. Joy Forever on Twitter says, one way of making a nation poorer is enriching the rich by paying all manners of expenditures and tax the poor to death, and the poor are happy and hailing. Pension for life for politicians is nothing but pure wickedness. Yusuf Akinwale says, forget religion. Human beings are naturally wicked. How few people live off resources that is enough to go around the whole citizens still leaves to question the impact of religion on us. 10 million naira for upkeep shows that person must share. No. I won't leave that. Jamin is saying, Wemimo, please, what is the state of my state? What is your state? I don't know. What is your state? Oh,
Let's quickly go to the phone lines. They've been calling all morning, and please make it short. Good morning to you. What's your name?
Good morning, Dominic.
Dominic, where are you calling from?
From Quadry.
Okay, Dominic, go on ahead.
You mean what you just read is paid to one man in Nigeria?
Yes, sir.
God will never forgive this. That is all I have to say.
Okay, Dominic. What a prayer. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
My name is Olumu.
Your name is?
Olumuyiwa.
Olumuyiwa. Welcome.
Welcome.
You see, just a man for just 80 years. Do you know why they are doing all these things? Because of 5 things. 1, when the citizens have this virus that I call ignorance, illiteracy, poverty, religion, and ethnicity. And when the citizens have these 5 qualities, then the ruler will never see themselves as a civil servant, but as a lord over the citizens. And we will now tell all these people that they are our servants, they are not our leader. Good morning.
Muiwa, thank you for calling. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
My name is Lekon.
Lekon, welcome.
How are you doing?
We're great, fantastic.
Just unfortunate, sincerely. Very unfortunate. How can everybody should be governor? They know.
Then who would they govern if everyone is a governor?
No, we all have to scrabble for that position. Because me too, I want that kind of benefit. That's just the truth.
So what would you do about this now that you know?
I just don't know what to say, sincerely.
I know this might be overwhelming for some people. You probably have not heard.
It is overwhelming. It is quite overwhelming.
Which is why I need you to read. Remember, for those who joined the chit chat, I say you still have homework.
Right.
I need you to read up on all of these things and understand so that you can take action.
And that's actually the genesis of the problem that we've got today.
We don't
People
know.
don't know.
But you need to know.
And it's not that this information are hidden. This information
it's
are there.
right there. Just do a quick search online.
They're just there.
It's all there.
Right.
On Facebook, Sheyi Akinjogunla says, really? So some states don't have pension plans for the workers, but they dare to have pension laws for ex-governors? Well, that's what it is. Mayegu Mohammed says citizens ought to be different because they could mostly express themselves with whatever allegations. Okay, I don't understand this message. I'm sorry. Atona Khalide says, thank God seems... Oh, goodness. I can't understand this message either. Aurora from Mayobo says, my question is, who is going to save us from us? Us. It is us that will save us from us.
Yeah.
Says, the greatest error in this life is to give a black man power to make law and to decide the fate of the whole country. Well, we won't have an expatriate leading Nigeria now, would we? Nigerians would have to govern Nigerians. Well, that's what it is.
That's right. Let's go to the phone lines. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes,
Morning.
good morning. What's your name, please?
My name is Bryce.
Best.
Bryce.
Bright. Okay.
Right. Welcome.
Please, I want to ask, do things like this happen in developed society countries where they've sorted out the show of other basic needs of the citizens? Do they do things like this?
No, they don't.
Even in White House, the president pays.
Yeah, I just gave you an example of the
food.
White House. They pay for everything themselves.
I'm just short of words this morning. I'm short of words.
Exactly.
If you go visit at the White House and you drink an extra cup of coffee that was budgeted for the president for that month, the president will pay.
The president will pay from his pocket. I mean, American president.
Yeah. You can go online and do a quick search. Michelle Obama was in an interview with Oprah Winfrey recently, and she mentioned how they pay for peanuts. I mean, they count the peanuts.
When
I hear you say they count the peanuts,
Granotto.
So if you take too many, you come visit and you say, it's White House, let me pack all the snacks. Well, the president will have to pay
the
for it.
The president will call you later and say, please don't come again.
Mr. Deva Adenira joins us again over the phone. Mr. Deva, we try connecting with you. We just ran the people through the millions and billions and cars and let me see, what's that called again? Those cars. So there are cars and there are standby cars. What did I call that earlier on?
There is a pilot car.
There's a pilot car. Backup car. Yeah. So there are 2 cars, then there are 2 backup cars, and there's one pilot car, and there are houses. Now, we already have these laws. What do we do? It appears that majority of Nigerians don't like these laws. So what can they do?
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Deba, go on ahead.
Yes. You see, the laws were fraudulently passed it was not in consonance with the needs of the people. And it was a conspiracy between the executive and legislative arms of government that the laws got passed. But the people can rally around the opposition to these exploitative laws because it is the taxpayers that are actually funding the luxury, the immoral luxury that these leaders or that are supposed to be public servants are enjoying. It's like people are paying them to enjoy on our behalf, and we are suffering on behalf of those that are supposed to be leading us.
So if Nigerians don't like it, what should they do?
What Nigerians should do is to organize themselves into advocacy groups, into protest groups. They should overwhelm their government with protest letters, with presence at the gallery in all the houses of assembly, with petitions to the National Assembly, to the office of Attorney General of the Federation, and to to the President, that the President should intervene on behalf of Nigerian people who are suffering the jeopardy of exploitation of those who are supposed to be our servants, and they have made themselves our lords.
What is distasteful, Mr. Debo, is that most of these states can't even pay the 18,000 naira former minimum wage, and yet they couldn't even pay pension for former workers of the state.
It's a bad example of such states. You know, the former governor that is asking for 10 million naira on monthly basis and life salary did not pay pensions to everybody that has worked, that has served that state for up to
over 30 years.
Okay, they do not pay allowances. They do not pay local government workers. They do not pay, some teachers, primary school teachers, as at when due. And they legislate these humongous amounts of money for themselves. Somebody spoke about security votes the other time. Yes, they need some certain amount of money to secure the people. But they don't spend this money on security.
Exactly.
And that is why the safety of life and property has become, has become something that is not worthwhile in the country.
Mr. Debo, please hold the line. Let's take a few more calls so that we can get thoughts from others who are on the line right now. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, my wonderful people there.
Yes,
good morning.
You have Chief Larry on the line calling from Solo.
You're welcome to the show.
I think for some of us, we are not ignorant of those laws because even at your station there, some few years back, when the Akwa Ibom brouhaha started, because all started from Akwa Ibom, when we had 100 million pensions, people were shouting. And some of us in Lagos here was shouting that even the worst is already happening in Lagos here, of which so many people were ignorant of. So I think it calls for some certain sober reflection by the people. It's more of having a group of people that have made it upon themselves that the poor will not exist. Then the likes of Fashola was enjoying it, Tinubu was enjoying it, and so many others. And that is why two of them will never allow any state government in Lagos to stay for 2 terms, because there was a clause in Lagos own that you must serve 2 terms, before you benefit from that. And when these people are positioning themselves to be statesmen, some people are looking at them to be people of. So that's why one of the caller mention of calling them honorable. What is honorable about them?
All right, Chief
Larry. What kind of characters? Excuse me, my brother.
Thank you so much for calling. We need to take other calls. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, Sherry.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Wemimo.
Good morning. Good morning.
This is Pastor Ladipo.
Welcome, Pastor Ladipo.
You're welcome.
Calling from Sarigon.
Good to have you.
So my poor state, Ondo State, is involved. It is not a laughing matter. I'm crying.
Sorry.
I'm crying. You know why I'm crying? This is the reason why these people kill to get to that place.
Right.
This is the reason why kidnapping will not stop. This is the reason why this evil that is going on in this nation will not stop, because the poor masses have been oppressed. Let me tell you, somebody said we should form ourselves into advocacy group and go and occupy a place. They will use military police on everybody. Can't you see? Even those who sat down for peaceful demonstration, they were teared down.
Does that mean that the people cannot do anything?
The only thing the people can do is to go through the labor union. Let the labor union paralyze the government. We strike and say this thing must stop. Because they have the power. The citizens will back them. There is nothing as Nigeria is now.
All right, Pastor Ladipo.
Yeah, I made a fantastic point. Mr. Debo, I mean, the caller before the last talked about Lagos State, and, you know, I just flashed my mind. Fashola, for instance, was governor for 8 years in Lagos State. He's been minister. This is his second term as a minister also. So if he's receiving all of these allowances and cars and houses and furniture and security as a former governor, he's also receiving allowances as a minister currently. And when his tenure ends as a minister, if he's lucky enough to get back into the Senate, there are other allowances also going on here. And the last caller said the labor unions have a role to play in this. NLC seems to be the biggest forefront for labor issues, but we don't hear them pushing for issues like this. Do you think they don't know?
They know. What we don't understand is why they are keeping quiet. We also know that the students' body now knows what is happening, but they are also not doing much to safeguard the interests of their parents. Several civil society organizations also know that all of these things that are going on in various levels of government are obscene, and that it will go a long way in furthering the impoverishment of the majority of Nigerian people. Why they are not doing something, frontally is what the majority of Nigerians don't know. And it cannot be far from the fact that many of these bodies have been compromised one way or the other. For example, no corruption could take place in government circles without complicity of civil servants. And these civil servants, they belong to unions. There's no corruption that will take place in the private sector without connivance of those workers of those private organizations.
Right.
And when they combine, they are conspiring against ordinary Nigerians who has no special influence or power to safeguard his own interests.
Let me read some comment from WhatsApp. Uche from Ikeja says, good morning. You are letting us know what we didn't know. Please read the laws again. My mouth is aching. I'm not sure. Just go online and do a quick search. And you can check out the specific detail of the law for your state.
Right.
Just do a quick search online and you will find it. Godspower says, Nigeria Info, you have to continue putting this information out there for people to know. Okay, thank you. I get the last part. Mayor from Maja says, Wemimo, see what education has been garroted. Most of us are ignorant so that we will not ask questions. If you invest this lump sum on human resources, you will see return on investment for a smiling future. I'm summarizing your messages because of our time.
Right.
We also have Olatubosu Ebenezer from Ojo who says, Wemimo, there's nothing the masses will do to stop everything going up on there. The only thing we can do is to be able to cater for ourselves and not look up to anyone. This narrative again comes up.
Exactly.
There's nothing we can do. Let's just fend for ourselves.
It's quite saddening. Let's squeeze in a few calls before we go. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, my name is Ugochukwu from Uganda.
Welcome, Ugochukwu.
Yes, I want to respond to the person that was asking, saying that there's something that the masses can do. Yes, of course. If you look at it, yes, it appears as if there's something the masses can do. But practically, in Nigeria of today, you cannot even call for protest. You cannot even mention it. Look at Stowell, where is it? What is happening to him today? Look at what they are discussing in the Senate, how to ban people from commenting on social media. And these are all aiming to so that they can sustain the corruption and things like this that we are hearing on the radio this morning.
All right, Gochiku, thanks for calling.
Hello, good morning. Oops.
Oh, we lost that.
Sorry about that. Let me take some from Twitter on our way out. Atupa Ford says, this is exasperating. I strongly believe even our colonial masters did not colonize us like this. It's time to wake up. Eminence here says, when we want a Quadry, this is pathetic. How can we fold our arms and watch when these states do everything to enrich their generations and citizens suffer? One more from WhatsApp. It says, I agree with that caller that spoke about NLC being our greatest weapon as citizens. I think we need to push them to work for us now. But we must go now. Someone is asking to confirm if Osun State is paying this. Yes, Osun State is on the list. Right. And you can go online and read up the details.
Mr. Debo, as we go, what will be your last word on this particular subject?
Well, my last word would be to suggest that a people united cannot be defeated. If we, the people, reject this immoral, act of our public servants, then they will have nowhere to enjoy such official looting. Official loot. So basically, we are the people that can say no to all of these exploitation of the poor for the benefit of the rich. Because because
right. Thank you, Mr. Debo.
So we are the ones to suffer lack of adequate facilities and amenities that we deserve in the country.
Thank you, Mr. Debo. Mr. Debo Adeniro is from the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, CACOL. We thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
In Nigeria, you need to read up more. Go online. Everything you need is there. Find out more. Tomorrow, there have been conversations online about the role of NURTW and task force collecting money from Okada men, Marua, buses, and people are saying the NURTW is the second arm of government in Lagos State.
They are as powerful as the state government. They are more powerful than state government. People are saying a whole lot of things.
I've read so many comments.
A whole lot of things about NURTW in Lagos.
So join us tomorrow. We're trying really hard to get an NURTW official rare in the studio, and you can put all those questions across to them. But we must go now. We'll see you again tomorrow morning. Thank you to Zenab Yakin, Tosia Kiride, Yvonne Okafor. We'll see you tomorrow talking NURTW. I am Wemimo Adewuni.
And I am Sheriff Quadry.
Have a good day.
From your #1 talk news and sports station, this is the Morning Crossfire with Wemimo and Sheriff.